Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mini Books Podcast with your host Gloria and Rogan, and today we are excited to dive into Special Book with You. We picked this one because it has really important lessons to share and we can't wait to talk about them. So let's get started.
Ever feel like you're kind of, stuck on autopilot,
Yeah.
just going through the motions day after day?
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Well, get ready, because today's deep dive might just shake things up a bit. We're diving into How to Do the Work by Dr. Nicole LePera.
Oh, I like her. She's great.
This book really makes you question, everything you thought you knew about, yourself, really.
It's true. This isn't your average self-help deep dive.
No, not at all.
LePera, she doesn't just scratch the surface. She takes us deep, really deep into this world of holistic psychology.
And the mind-body connection, right?
Exactly. But in a way that's both fascinating and, this is key, practical. You can actually use this stuff.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. The book starts with this really powerful idea. It's that so many of us, we're basically living on autopilot. It's driven by, this subconscious programming we picked up way back in childhood.
We are.
We're talking habits, thought patterns, even just our automatic reactions to situations.
It's almost involuntary. You don't even realize you're doing it.
Exactly. It's like we're running on this outdated software, and it's not really serving us anymore.
Right.
So what's your take on this whole unconscious autopilot idea?
Well, think of it this way. When we're kids, we learn all these coping mechanisms. It's how we navigate the world, how we feel safe.
Makes sense.
But these mechanisms, as helpful as they might have been back then, they can become so ingrained. They just become these patterns that don't serve us as adults.
Right, they're holding us back.
Exactly. And LePera's big thing is that holistic psychology can help us, rewire that old programming. It gives us the tools to break free.
And one thing I really appreciate is she speaks from experience. In the book, she talks about her own struggles with traditional therapy, how slow the progress can be.
Oh, yeah. She's very open about that.
And then there's this powerful story. She actually faints.
What?
In the middle of her practice.
Oh, wow. I don't remember that.
It's like this really human moment that just highlights how disconnected even she was feeling between her mind and body.
That is powerful because it shows that this disconnect, it's not about being weak or anything. It's about recognizing, how we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned to operate in a certain way. And sometimes our bodies, they give us these wake-up calls.
Yeah, hello, pay attention.
Right. Pay attention to what's going on beneath the surface here.
It's like our bodies are literally screaming at us to break free from this autopilot.
They are.
So how does this holistic psychology thing, how does that play into all of this?
Okay, well, before we get there, we need to talk about epigenetics.
Okay.
Which completely explodes this old idea that we're predetermined by our genes.
It's not all in our DNA.
Not even close. Imagine this. You inherit this beautiful vintage piano.
Okay, I like where this is going.
This piano, this represents your genes.
Okay.
It's what you're born with. But, and this is the big but, how you play that piano, the music you create, it all depends on you. What you learn, how much you practice, the environment you're in.
Okay, so our experiences are basically composing the music of our lives.
Exactly. And they even impact how our genes actually work.
So we're not just passengers on this genetic roller coaster.
Nope.
We're actually holding the steering wheel.
Yes.
Influencing our health and well-being with our thoughts and beliefs.
You got it. That's exactly it. And LePera uses some pretty mind-blowing examples to really show this in action.
Like what?
Okay, take the placebo effect. People experience real changes, physical changes, just from believing a treatment will work.
Even if it's a sugar pill.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
It is. And the opposite is true too, the nocebo effect. That's where negative beliefs can actually manifest as physical symptoms.
Wow, that's kind of scary, actually.
It is. It's powerful stuff. But the point is, we're not powerless.
Right.
We have a say in this, and that's where holistic psychology really comes in. It emphasizes the connection, the way the mind and body are constantly influencing each other. It's not just about fixing what's wrong mentally. It's about, addressing the whole person, their experiences, their beliefs, their environment, everything.
The whole shebang.
Yes, exactly.
And LePera, she walks the talk, right? She shares these amazing stories in the book about people who've experience these incredible transformations through holistic psychology.
Oh, absolutely. And those stories are so powerful because they show what's possible with this approach. Like, take Dr. Terry Walls, for example. She was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Oh, wow.
And the doctors told her, you're going to be in a wheelchair in a few years.
I've heard of her. Didn't she, like, reverse a lot of the disease's progression using this holistic approach?
Mm-hmm. She did. She did. Instead of just accepting that prognosis, Dr. Walls, she went all in on holistic practices. She changed her entire diet. She practiced mindfulness, focused on rebuilding her nervous system. Her story is incredible, and it shows that profound healing is possible. But you have to start viewing yourself through this holistic lens.
Okay, that's inspiring. So we're not just talking about treating symptoms here, right? We're talking about addressing the root causes, the mind-body connection, everything. But what does that even look like in practice? I mean, how do you even begin to unravel years, maybe decades, of these ingrained patterns and beliefs?
Well, LePera, she gives us this framework for understanding those patterns, and a lot of it starts with understanding how our minds work, which
is a whole other can of worms.
It is.
We'll have to save that for after the break.
Sorry to interrupt you guys. If you're enjoying this podcast, then don't forget to check out our official YouTube channel, Mini Books Podcast, and subscribe for more great podcasts like this one.
Okay, so we're back and ready to really get inside our own heads.
Get ready, it's a wild ride in there.
Before the break, we were talking about how much of our behavior is basically running on autopilot, influenced by all that subconscious programming. So where do we even begin to untangle all of that?
Well, LePera, she dives deep into the world of the mind. And one of the first things she points out is that our conscious mind, the one we're aware of right now, the one making decisions, thinking these very thoughts, it's just the tip of the iceberg.
Okay, so there's a whole lot going on beneath the surface. I knew it.
Oh, yeah. She calls it the monkey mind, this bustling subconscious world.
Monkey mind.
It's like this never-ending stream of thoughts, memories, feelings. It can get pretty chaotic. Like, imagine a bunch of monkeys swinging from thought to thought.
Okay, I can see that. The monkey mind. I like that visual. But how does all that subconscious activity actually affect us day to day?
Well, imagine this. You learned to ride a bike when you were a kid, right? You don't really think about every single pedal stroke now, do you? Every time you turn the handlebars.
No, it's automatic.
Exactly. And LePera argues that a lot of our emotional and behavioral patterns, they work the same way. They're coming from our subconscious, shaped by those early experiences, especially those early relationships, the family dynamics we kind of stoked up growing up.
And this is where her definition of trauma was really interesting to me. It's not just about those big life-altering events. It's also the more subtle stuff, right?
Exactly. The more pervasive experiences.
Like what?
Well, LePera talks about how if your authentic self was consistently denied when you were a child, like maybe you were told to be quiet when you felt sad, or you were only praised for achievements, never just for being you, that can really stick with you. Even witnessing unhealthy relationships, like between your parents, that can leave a mark. Shape your beliefs about yourself, about relationships in general.
So it's like those subtle messages, they become part of this like unconscious blueprint that we're using to navigate our lives.
Yes, and that's where core beliefs come in.
Okay, core beliefs. What are those?
These are the fundamental beliefs we develop about ourselves, usually in childhood, as a way to make sense of our experiences.
Oh.
So for example, if you didn't get enough love and validation as a kid, you might develop this core belief that you're unlovable or not good enough.
And we carry that with us.
Yeah. And then those beliefs, they start to influence everything. How we show up in the world, the choices we make, even the relationships we attract. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh, messed up.
It is. And here's the really wild part. Our brains are actually designed to perpetuate these beliefs through something called the reticular activating system.
The what?
The RAS. Think of your brain like this giant spam filter, right?
Okay.
Filtering through millions of bits of information every second. The RAS, it's like the filter setting. It's going to prioritize information that confirms what you already believe, even if those beliefs are negative.
So if you believe you're not good enough, your brain is basically looking for evidence to support that, even if there's a ton of evidence to the contrary.
Exactly. It's like we're wearing these invisible glasses that distort how we see the world based on those early experiences and core beliefs.
Wow. So how do we take those glasses off?
That's the million-dollar question. Yeah. And that's what we'll dive into after the break.
All right. So how do we take those glasses off? How do we even begin to shift those deeply ingrained beliefs and patterns?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. Remember we were talking about the ego before the break?
Oh, yeah. The ego, I have a feeling this is a big one.
It is, and it's often misunderstood. You see, the ego gets this bad rap, but it's actually trying to protect us, to keep us safe, even if that means holding on to those old patterns or like resisting change.
So it's like that friend, the one who's always telling you to play it safe, even when you really want to try something new.
Exactly. That's a great analogy. And LePera, she says, the ego, it's often just operating from this place of fear. It's clinging to what's familiar, even if it's not really serving us anymore. Like, imagine this. You grew up in a house where if you expressed your emotions, it always led to conflict.
Oh, yeah.
Or you were shut down.
I know that feeling.
So your ego, it might have learned to suppress those emotions as a way to avoid those negative consequences,
It makes sense, but it's like even when I'm consciously trying to grow, to evolve, my ego's over there slamming on the brakes.
Yes, it wants to keep you in that comfort zone, even if it's a little dysfunctional.
More than a little, sometimes.
Right. And LePera points out all these ways the ego shows up in our lives. People-pleasing, perfectionism, always being defensive, even self-sabotage.
Ouch. Yeah, I've definitely been there.
And these patterns, when they really come out to play?
When?
Relationships.
Ugh, don't even get me started on relationships. It's like we were just talking about. Those patterns we keep repeating, the ones that leave us feeling totally drained.
Yes. It's like we're banging our heads against the wall, and it's often the ego that's driving that bus. Because remember, it wants what feels familiar, even if it's not healthy. So we end up in these trauma bonds, as LePera calls them.
Trauma bonds. Wait, so it's like we're subconsciously drawn to relationships that actually mimic those early wounds. We're trying to heal those old hurts by recreating them.
It sounds crazy, but it's true. But LePera, she offers us a way out. Boundaries.
Boundaries. Okay. That's a big one. But how do we actually do that? Set boundaries, I mean.
Yeah.
Especially if we, didn't have the best examples growing up.
That's the thing. It's about recognizing that saying no to someone else, it's often saying yes to ourselves. It's about honoring our needs, our limits, even if it means those conversations get a little uncomfortable or we risk someone's disapproval. And that is especially tough for those of us who grew up in environments where boundaries weren't really respected,
Yeah, it's definitely easier said than done. Like setting boundaries, that can feel really uncomfortable at first, especially with people who are used to us always saying yes.
Absolutely. And LePera talks about this. She calls them the feel-bads, like the guilt, the anxiety, worrying about what other people will think. It's normal. It even means you're on the right track.
So we're rewiring our brains and our relationships all at the same time. It's like learning to parent ourselves in a way that maybe we didn't experience growing up.
Yes, and that's where this idea of reparenting comes in. LePera talks about cultivating this wise inner parent.
The wise inner parent. Okay, I love that.
There's that part of us that can offer the love, the support, the validation that we might not have always gotten in childhood.
It's like becoming our own best advocate, our own source of strength. And part of that, it sounds like, is learning how to regulate our emotions.
100%. That's emotional maturity, as LePera describes it. It's not about never feeling those negative emotions. It's about knowing how to respond to them in a healthy way, building that resilience.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into how to do the work, I'm honestly left feeling hopeful. Like, it's not about blaming our past or feeling stuck with these patterns. LePera's given us some real tools, some strategies for healing, for actually stepping into a more conscious way of being.
I couldn't agree more. It's about recognizing that we have the power to change, to heal, to write our own stories.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this. What's one small step you can take today to reconnect with your inner child, to challenge an old pattern, or to set a healthy boundary? How can you put a little more awareness, a little more compassion into your life starting right now? Until next time, keep diving deep.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this conversation and want to dive into more book insights and key learnings, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Mini Books Podcast, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. We're back every Sunday at 9 a.m. with new books and more to learn from. Until next time, take care, keep learning, and keep growing. Remember, this is Mini Books Podcast.